Hey VC, it's Travis, and I know I said I wouldn't be making any more videos for a while, but I had to make a real quick video for Maggie, 1204 Willow. She posted a video last night showing some things that she had picked up that were based off of recommendations from other VC members. And I was really touched by the fact that she had picked up 3 different records that were based off of stuff that I recommended. I thought that was just so cool. And she picked up the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, the Velvet Underground White Light, White Heat, and Radiohead The Bends. And those are, 3 terrific albums. And Maggie, I guess kind of what I wanted to show you was if you decide to pursue other albums by these artists, like which ones I would recommend next, or just for ones for you to look for, I guess. I guess I'll start with the Velvet Underground. Well, it'd be really hard for me not to recommend their debut, the Velvet Underground and Nico. And of course this one, if you're anything like me, I'm a very visual person, and seeing things like this, when I see it in the store, it's gonna automatically connect. I don't do really good with names and titles and stuff, so seeing the banana, this is a very iconic cover, first off. Anyway, this is their debut with Nico, and this is probably what many would consider their greatest, but it's definitely in the same vein as White Light, White Heat. So if you really enjoyed that one, I would say get this one next. I guess this one here is probably a little bit more experimental, and the subject matter for the songs and stuff is probably a little bit more heavy. There's a lot of stuff about drugs and just things like that on here, but yeah, this is a great album though. I mean, I would highly recommend this. I mean, but the Velvet Underground, during their time, they only released 4 proper studio albums. So I guess the next one, probably one of my favorites, and I really don't even know why. I guess I just like the songwriting on it a little bit better. I think it's just a little bit more diverse, and I don't know, but it's their 3rd album, the one after White Light, White Heat, and this is just their self-titled too. It's just called the Velvet Underground, and yeah, this one here is, which is weird because when I first got into the Velvet Underground, I didn't really listen to this one that often because it was a little bit quieter. There was one of the members of the band had left after the 2nd album, John Cale, and he was kind of the experimenter. He was the one that kind of drove their sound into new heights. After he left, though, it was kind of up to kind of the main guy, Lou Reed, the main songwriter, to kind of start doing everything else, and stuff. So I mean, so the songwriting kind of became more straightforward, I would say. And yeah, there's a lot of great songs on here. Candy Says, What Goes On, Pale Blue Eyes, Beginning to See the Light, After Hours. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I would check this one out as well. I mean, I guess, but then their last album, which is kind of probably their most accessible album, maybe, but it's the Velvet Underground Loaded. And I guess the story, from what I hear about this, is that they wanted the Velvet Underground to make an album loaded with hits, and so that's the reason with the title there. But yeah, definitely, they're kind of striving for a more pop sound, I think, in a way, and some of it's almost kind of tongue-in-cheek, but Who Loves the Sun, Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll, yeah, I mean, those, on just side 1 alone, that's just good. And then on the B-side, Oh Sweet Nothing, that's the last song on there. That is just an awesome, awesome song. But so I mean, any of these three I would recommend. I would say if you're really in love with White Light, White Heat, I would check out Velvet Underground and Nico first. But if you're kind of looking to see what their other sound was kind of like, I'd recommend one of these two. Now moving on to, let's go on to Bob Dylan. Now, pretty much, okay, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. And that's another thing I thought that was kind of funny, you know, between Bob Dylan and Velvet Underground, most would say that those two artists are, I guess based off of what my friends have said, are kind of more of an acquired taste. So it's really cool that you are digging this. But anyway, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. And like this whole section up here, actually from up here to here, I don't know if you can see how well you can see that. That's all Bob Dylan, you know. So that's a pretty big chunk of my collection. And you did really well picking up the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan as a really good place to start. You know, it's just like I mentioned before, it's just one of his just classic albums. And you know, he changed his sound a lot as well. You know, so the Freewheelin's definitely more of a stripped down kind of folky album. And I guess if you kind of like that, then you'd probably be alright with his next couple albums. Let me try to get him out here. I should have did this before, but oh well. The times they are changing. You know, kind of in the same vein as that Freewheelin'. And then also another side of Bob Dylan. Yeah, those two are definitely more of like in the folky kind of vein. Well, this one here is probably one of my very, very favorite ones, and I guess there's a couple reasons for it. I showed this actually in one of my first videos. I think it was for Chris and his contest that he had, showing us our best sides of records. And I picked out side one of this one because it's just great all the way through. Now, this one is when he kind of started moving into more of an electric sound. And, you know, side one is all of his electric hits. Oh, not hits, but his electric songs. And then side two is more of his traditional acoustic folky sound. So on this one, I'll name off some songs like Subterranean Homesick Blues. Man, I just love every song on side one though. She Belongs to Me, Maggie's Farm, Love Minus Zero, Over No Limit. Hey, Maggie's Farm. Yeah. Outlaw Blues, On the Road Again, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream. And then on side two, it's Mr. Tambourine Man, Gates of Eden, It's Alright Mom, Only Bleeding. And then last song, It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. I just think, I mean, just you know, the diversity of the sound on here is just cool, and I honestly think this is probably one of his better albums. So if you kind of still like the folky sound, but you kind of want to try out, get a little taste of his kind of more rock sound, I would check out this one. And then I guess what many people would probably call one of his best albums is Highway 61 Revisited, and this is just stone cold classic here. And this is pretty much him in full out, you know, rock and roll, like electric rock. So he had totally transitioned from, you know, being like the folk singer-songwriter to fronting like a rock band, basically. I mean, but this is a great album. And let's see, songs on here like A Rolling Stone, It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, From a Buick 6, Ballad of a Thin Man, Queen Jane Approximately, Highway 61 Revisited, Desolation Row. I mean, those are just some of the tracks on there, but every song on here is just great. And yeah, I would highly recommend that one too. That's only if, you know, you kind of want to move it more into his rock sound, along with I've shown this one before as well, Blonde on Blonde. You know, that's just this is a double LP. Usually it's a little bit harder to find. If you find like the reissue version, it might be kind of expensive, but it is a great album. So I mean, yeah, this again, kind of along with Highway 61 Revisited, kind of more in the rock sound. Alright, so then moving on, there's a couple more with this. You know, after that one, then you kind of start doing more of a kind of like a country kind of sound. You know, John Wesley Harding. You know, if you like country music, then, you know, this one wouldn't be too bad, but definitely for sure Nashville Skyline. This is not really like your shit kicking country, but you know, kind of more like in the vein of just that old school country, kind of like Johnny Cash. And actually, he's featured on this album, "Girl from the North Country," with Johnny Cash. That's just this is a great album, though. I do like this, and it's weird because you put it on, and his voice is nothing like on his earlier albums, and it's just so strange to hear, because if you played it, you probably wouldn't even know it was Bob Dylan. I mean, it's cool, but you know, it's a really short album too. I think it's under a half hour, but it's pretty good. And if you like country music, especially like older country music, you might be all right with this. So that's what I would recommend there. Then he kind of went through a little slump. You know, he didn't really release a whole lot of material, and the stuff he did release was kind of just mediocre. But then he kind of came back in the mid-70s. I think this is from '74. But Blood on the Tracks. This is kind of, I guess, what many have called like kind of his divorce album or breakup album. And you know, he had just broken up from, or divorced from his wife and stuff. And yeah, it was just a lot of emotional songs on here in Bob Dylan fashion, so Blood on the Tracks. And then last one I'm probably going to recommend here, I don't think there's, yeah, I mean, this is the last one I'd probably really recommend. I mean, not to go too in depth here, but Desire. This is a great album as well. Hurricane, Isis, One More Cup of Coffee, Sarah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a kind of later Bob Dylan. A lot of violin and stuff on here too. It's just great songwriting. I mean, Bob Dylan's one of the greatest songwriters in my opinion of all time, and I know I'm not alone with that sentiment. So, yeah, I mean, those are some albums I would check out. Yeah, most likely like those early ones up to the Nashville Skyline. You'll probably be able to find as like reissues, still sealed, which are really nice too. I have a couple myself. But yeah, basically any of those I would really recommend. I gotta just depends on what sound you're kind of looking for. Alright, and for Radiohead, this one will be pretty short. And I know I wanted to make this kind of quick, but I'm just kind of rambling on here. But for Radiohead, basically anything after the Bends is probably okay. But things I would recommend is the album after that, like OK Computer. This is probably one of the greatest albums of the '90s. Just a phenomenal album. And yeah, I would say that just naturally, I would probably pick this one up next. If you like the Radiohead, the Bends, I'd probably go for this one now. Then Radiohead kind of started moving into more of a like electronic sound, and like on their album Kid A, it's definitely electronic sound. It's don't buy this expecting anything like the Bends, basically, but it's still really good, and it's still Radiohead, and you can tell it's still Radiohead, but it's just a way different sound. And in my opinion, I think they kind of moved back to kind of more of their rock sound too that you kind of find on those early albums, but keeping the electronic portions together as well, but in rainbows. This came out a couple years ago. I really like this one too, and I think you can generally find this pretty cheap. So I mean, this would be a good pickup as well. But I would highly recommend OK Computer, that first one. Highly recommended. But yeah, basically anything I show, I'm gonna recommend. You know, and I highly recommend any of those Velvet Undergrounds, and Bob Dylan, like the early Bob Dylan, Bringing It All Back Home, and you know, Blonde on Blonde, you know, Highway 61 Revisited, you know, things like that. I probably just rambled on for a lot longer than I wanted to, but I just wanted to show some recommendations, Maggie, and I hope, you know, this kind of helps a little bit. I don't know. I just, you know, I was just so impressed, and yeah, it was just so cool that you decided to do that. So anyway, I'm gonna get going, and hope everyone is doing well. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Peace out.